Gonna call to order the Board of Directors meeting for Thursday, June 6, 2024, Whatcom Transportation Authority. Let's start with roll call, please.
Yes, Donovan.
Here.
Hawkinson.
Here.
Cortez.
Here.
Lautenbach.
Here.
Lilyquist.
Here.
And I'm not seeing Maryland is absent at the moment. Executive Sadhu currently absent. Board Member Stewart is absent. Williams.
Here.
And Darwin.
Present.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Item C, citizen communications. Would anyone like to address the board in person or online? If you're online, please unmute. You have 3 minutes. Not seeing anyone. And I don't think we got any email communication. All right, moving right along. Item D1, approval of resolution 354-24, recognizing Eric Davidson.
Thank you very much. And Vicky, Executive Sadhu came in. I don't know if you saw that for the record. He is here.
Thank you.
All right. So we wanted to recognize outgoing member Eric Davidson, City Councilor from Blaine. As is tradition, when somebody is kindly given a lot of time to WTA, we want to recognize them as a board member on the way out. Traditionally, we recommend the board pass a resolution, and the resolution is in your packet. Additionally, what we will do is we have by now for the board members. It's it's a nice history of WTA buses throughout the time. So.
He doesn't pick that up, I'm gonna rip his name off and put my name. I'm just kidding. We'll get that to Eric.
And you are at the museum. Shameless plug. So with that, would respectfully recommend that the board pass the resolution as in the packet.
I'll move we approve resolution 354-24.
And I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion in a second. Any discussion? Todd? Oh, he's just getting ready to vote.
I was getting ready to say.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? All right, that passes. Item D2, consideration of setting a public hearing to approve the 2025 to 2030 WTA Transportation Improvement Program. Should have just said TIP. That would have been easier. Shonda.
All right, so we're asking the board to set a public hearing for June 27th to hear comment on the TIP. The TIP is a required document from the Whatcom and the FTA to seek federal funding, and it lists capital projects that are of regional significance. Once this board approves it, it goes to the COG, they gather all the other ones, and it goes up to the state TIP, which also has to be approved for us to receive federal funding. The draft will come out in the packet. We're not quite ready yet. The public hearing, you can approve if you like, if there's no public comments or the board doesn't have comments, or we will bring it back. And it doesn't have any fiscal impact. We'll take what's in the TIP and then determine what moves forward into the budget.
Is there a deadline? I thought the city had a deadline of June.
It has to be submitted to the COG no later than July 31st. Normally we did it early because we often didn't have a July meeting. I think we will be this year.
I would do approval of a resolution setting the public hearing.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that passes.
Thank you.
We have taken item D3 off of the agenda because we are no longer considering changing the fare rates.
If I could just give
Yeah, go ahead.
background, I apologize for cluttering the agenda. We have a tentative agreement with Western Washington for our past program with them, and thought that it may require revising the fare rates and rules to implement that. Staff has figured out a way that it doesn't require that, so we don't need the public hearing. Nevertheless, the agreement will be coming to the board for approval on the 27th. So just want to give you a little background. Apologize for cluttering you.
Thanks. All right, item E, consent agenda.
Move approval of the consent agenda. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. Moving right along, reports to the board. F1, limited general obligation line of credit. Shonda.
All right. If you recall, back in 2020, we established a line of credit with People's Bank to procure buses to allow us to pay in advance, request money back from FTA. We've used it once to test the process. It's up for renewal again, and we've decided that we don't want to renew it. It was $15,000 last time, so we don't see a need for it. So there's no need to spend that money.
We have enough in reserves to use if we need it, so we're just paying for something we don't use at this point.
And People's is very open to, if we need to reestablish something, they were a great partner. So they're aware of our decision also.
I would move the board concur with the recommendation to discontinue the line of credit.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or comments on this one?
I just want, sorry.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to add that that Treasury can also be a short-term lender.
Correct.
We
talked
talked
with
about
Karen
that before, that county Treasury, when it works with WTA, we always have short-term, less than a year.
Scott?
I was a proponent of this, but my goal was to burn down some reserves, but that didn't happen, so. All right. We don't need the line of credit.
Brian.
Right, yeah. All right, any further comments? Nope, all right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thanks, Todd. F2, new state law prohibiting weapons at transit facilities. Jeff?
Yes, thank you. Effective today, June 6th, I guess it's a second substitute Senate bill, 5444. Weapons prohibited in designated places. They have added transit facilities, zoos, aquariums, as well as public libraries to already existing jail and correctional facilities, courthouses, public health facilities, that kind of thing, commercial airports. So this is a new process for us to engage with the public. I will say that there's only a handful of folks that we see seldom on our transit system that will open carry a knife or a gun. Doesn't happen very often, but moving forward, I think our operations division and our safety division and our frontline employees will need to have a strategy moving forward as to how we're going to engage with folks. I don't know if that's a behavior-based approach. That may be good. If we don't get compliance, then we certainly would call law enforcement. But we're going to work through some of those things. One of the other requirements of this law is that we post signage at the perimeter of our locations indicating the RCW and that it's a weapons-free zone. So that will have to be done at Bellingham Station, Cordoba, Ferndale, and Linden. We won't be required to post them at bus shelters throughout the system. So that's another thing. The strange thing about this bill is that it does not include transit vehicles. So that's a little bit of a nuanced situation. Someone could presumably walk through our transit facilities with something concealed, if you will, get on the bus and then display it. And so,
But they can't get off.
but they can't get off, right? Yeah, no, they're like, yeah, you're like stuck in this. Yeah, so it's a little bit odd, but at any rate, that is effective today, and so we will be putting together some strategies and discussions as to how we want to move forward.
If I could just to supplement, the reason behind that, as we poked around, was the legislature decided they didn't want operators confronting people in a tight environment of a bus. to say who's armed
Right.
or has a weapon. Don't do that. That just didn't, they didn't feel that was a safe thing to do. Whereas if you're on a concourse, open area to deal with it. One of the things that Jeff said too, that I think we'll be looking hard at is this is kind of a tool, another tool in the toolbox. So as behavior happens, as our folks are looking at it, much like folks across the spectrum of security, trying to judge the behavior that goes along with it. And this provides another tool for law enforcement to be able to enforce if something like this happens. Setting aside the capacity of the local law enforcement, but it gives another tool in the toolbox. It gives us another thing to enforce. But that doesn't mean that if somebody's walking down the concourse with a baseball bat doing nothing, or it's in a backpack, well, technically that could be a weapon, whether we're going to engage or not. If they're dressed in softball clothes going to play softball and they got the bat in the back. So there's going to be some leeway there as we work through this.
Michael?
Yeah, to be clear, there are exemptions for law enforcement, active military, concealed carry permit holders, right?
Color guard, some things like that too.
Okay.
Interesting.
So the American Legion can ride with their.
Maybe. So anyway, that's my update. Does anybody have any questions?
Nope. Doesn't look like it. Thank you. Okay, item F3, General Manager's Report. Les.
Yes.
I know. Right along. Just a minute memo.
So I guess when Jeff said June 6th, that is 80th anniversary of D-Day today. So some of the things in no particular order, thought the board should have situational awareness on. One, Electric Avenue Bridge is up by Blodell is closed, an emergency structural issue. Want to thank the City Public Works Department, who was very good about communicating that was going on there. Eric Johnson and his team, as soon as they made the decision, immediately contacted. Had a thing Eric kindly attended on our behalf. If there will be significant impacts, the Old Village folks that own land by there offered a turnaround spot. Unfortunately, the timing doesn't work. It adds a lot of time to go down, around, and turn around and come back. So Eric and his team have done a really good job looking at alternatives, but there will be impacts. There's detours in place. There's been communications out, but there will be some issue. Eric, I don't know if you want to supplement anything on that, or
no,
you don't have to.
Yeah, sorry. The detour is causing us to miss electric in Alabama for that particular route. That's roughly 30, 35 previous rides per day in that area. We just cannot access it. So the detour is getting us 80% of the route, but we are missing that section. And that will be until the bridge status changes.
It's just 525 that's
It is just the 525. The good news is that the 540 does access the Alabama Hill corridor, so service is not lost. And at this point, the bridge you can still pass as a pedestrian. And so folks that live in Sable Mill Village are able to go north to Alabama and catch the 540 there as an option. And it's about a half mile, maybe from the middle of Electric down to Whatcom Falls, where we are able to pick folks up on the 525.
Thanks.
But so what I heard from Mayor was that they're working to open one lane and as soon as possible, they can stabilize one piece of it.
Well, I wonder about buses because of their
Size.
yeah, that it may be open to vehicles under X pounds.
Yeah, right. We don't,
But we don't know the answer to that yet.
Let's see, Memorial Day, just look back with that. Things, we participated in the parade with the Smart Trips folks that went well. Obviously there were detours because of the parade, but all went well. And as you can imagine, this happens regularly. So the staff's well versed on that. We set up additional shuttles for the Fairhaven end of the day festivities at about 375 rides, Eric? Is that
Additional,
in the
on the
shuttle.
shuttle, on the additional service we have, yes.
So, and then looking at lessons learned for future, obviously do hot washes on these things to figure out ways to provide better service into the future. Had last weekend a very rainy day at the Bells, WTA at the Bells. Super rainy, but there were some hardy folks that showed up nonetheless. Transit operator Lori McQueen sang the national anthem, did a great job, and our employee of the year Andrew Thompson threw out the first pitch. And I was surprised they didn't bring him back to actually pitch in the game because he actually threw probably better than the couple of the pitchers.
It was rough conditions.
Yeah, I thought they were going to bring him. So it's good. Thanks to Jeff and Eric and the team completed our mandatory heat training. I think it was last year or the year before it started becoming mandatory that you do heat training for frontline workers and those working outside. For future board meetings, just a reminder, we have a meeting on the 27th, which is a little off from our normal first and third because of the AWC meeting. And then we have one meeting in July on the 18th. So just wanted to note that should be on your calendar, but just we have the TIP hearing on the 18th, Transportation Improvement Program hearing on the 18th, but then would like to do the rest of that for the first go at one of these strategic meetings that the board wanted. So we'll try that. Was thinking of doing something about our goal to get to net neutral and how do we do that, talk about that, maybe a good strategic topic. And then we'll look at the fourth quarter one and a topic from there. Had a WashDOT capital assets audit yesterday. Thanks to the procurement team and the fleet and facilities team. Did a great job. That went very smooth yesterday. And the state auditors continue their work with us. Thanks to Andy and Devin and their team at the Cordata Station and partnership with the city of Bellingham. The charging infrastructure is about 6 weeks out from being completed on that. So you'll see that going. I think all we need is inspection and then we can get the transformer and energize that. Start going. So they've been doing great work and thanks to the city of Bellingham for partnership on that. Kind of throwing a lot out because we have time. Speaking of Western, Tim and Jamie and Hayden participated and led a meeting between Western, City of Bellingham, and us on the bus rapid transit coordination to get their kind of feel for that and involvement. It's a great partnership opportunity, and I think led to some other discussions too that I think will be good about how to better utilize Lincoln Creek as a potential park and ride. Identified some competing transit pedestrian issues at Viking Hall on High Street. Are there better ways to work through that? And then some micromobility issues of biking and walking and transit, how to that transit network kind of philosophy on that. So thank to Tim and Jamie and Hayden for doing that and setting up these potential partnership opportunities going forward. Thanks to Jeff. He's now participating in the cross-border working group, looking at the 2026 World Cup, the FIFA, and what ramifications are going to come with that. They're talking about potentially 750,000 people going between Seattle and Vancouver for that month. So could be interesting. That's June, I think June 26, right? Yeah. So hopefully county will start, when I say county, I mean all the county, not, I look at you, but I mean the whole county. Yeah, St. Paul. So that look forward to doing those discussions. Also, I've agreed to sign a letter of support for the city of Ferndale on a school resource officer, U.S. Department of Justice grant. To do that, I think could consultation with Jeff, we think that would be a great resource for our transit safety officers to be able to leverage with a school resource, particularly with our youth ride-free program and things. And then finally, this is transit or Ride Transit Month is June. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I like the WTA, the Bells, Transit Trivia Night coming up and so forth. So I'll turn it over to Genevieve in just a second to talk about some upcoming community events. And then also to talk about the HOP outreach, because the HOP ends this month. Hard to believe how quickly that came about. But Genevieve's been doing a great job, not just on events, but also coordinating community outreach on the HOP. So with that, Genevieve, if I could turn it over to you, please.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll just start with our HOP rollback plan that we've been working through. So the marketing department created a press release that was then sent out to local media in Linden, so the Tribune. We also sent it to the Cascadia Daily, and then sent a copy of it to the Linden Chamber. And then I have been reaching out one-on-one to some of our local businesses that have a lot of HOP pickups and drop-offs. So like the library, the Linden School District, and just sending them a more like personalized letter of like, here's why we're rolling back the HOP, here is some alternative transportation options, as well as connecting them with resources for travel training in case they have any community members who do rely on the HOP and want to learn a bit more about how to ride the fixed route system. And then we've also just been pushing it on social media, as well as our other upcoming service changes that'll start on the 16th. And then for community events, we've got our transit trivia night on, actually first, does anyone have any questions about the HOP rollback plan before I get into events?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, perfect. Love to hear it. So for events, we have our transit trivia night in celebration of Ride Transit Month. And if anyone's interested in learning more about Ride Transit Month, I'd recommend looking at Transportation Choices Coalition. They're a nonprofit based in Seattle. Les is on the board. And they kind of champion Ride Transit Month as an initiative. So they have some events down in Seattle, as well as a pledge that you can sign to commit to taking 5 trips by transit this month. So we've got folks coming out for transit trivia where you can win all sorts of cool things like Bell's season tickets or limited edition WTA swag. We also have, we're going to be participating in the Bellingham Pride Parade for the first time on July 7th, which was an initiative pushed forward by our ATU's Pride Caucus. And so I'm helping support them in getting a bus in the parade. And then this summer, it'll just be chock full of events all across Whatcom County. So if any of you have any events that you know of, especially things outside of Bellingham, please connect with me. I would love to have WTA, especially out at these county events. And so I try and keep an ear to the ground and get as many as we can. But if there's any that I've missed, let me know. And if any of the board members are interested in looking at a list of our past and upcoming events, I'd be happy to email that over. Thanks.
Genevieve, if you could just send me that, I'll go ahead and distribute to the board. Thank you. Just want to thank Genevieve for all the hard work she's putting in on that, and she pulled together the WTA at the Bells for us as well.
Transit trivia. That makes me nervous. I think about going, but then I'll forget everything I know about WTA.
I promise I'm going to make it easier this year. I got a lot.
I heard it was very hard.
Too niche, as some might say. So my goal for this year is to make it a little bit more general knowledge transit, and so it should be really fun. It'll be we're holding it at Larrabee Lager this year too, which is really fun. They are our neighbors.
Yeah, that's even better.
Oh, also Adam Smith from KGMI wondered if you ever named a bus Sparky. He said
Not yet, but you know, there's still time.
But did better at naming a bus. So.
Yeah, I would love to see a board member team at trivia.
Oh, no.
Come on.
My lesson learned last year was hook on with another team that has people that really know.
Right.
All right. So pending any questions, that's
All right, any other business? How about announcements? Anything going on
Lots going on, but
that you want to announce?
Yeah.
I'll take advantage and say thank you to the various public works departments for the communication that's been helpful. County Public Works sent us their plan out into the future as well, so we're able to look out ahead. Super helpful, really appreciate that. A lot of construction going on.
All right. Nothing else? We are adjourned.